Help me reach 2,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comments. Thanks. I never imagined that 17 years of my life, 17 years of loyalty, laughter, and shared mornings could be dismissed with a single accusation. My name is Daniel. I'm 45, and for nearly 2 decades, I believe my marriage to Claire was built on trust. I met her when I was 28. She was radiant, full of ideas and dreams that drew me in immediately. We connected over late-night conversations, weekend hikes, and the small joys of life that I had never truly appreciated before. From our first apartment in Boston to our sprawling house in the suburbs of Manchester, I poured myself into the marriage with a quiet dedication that I thought she understood. At first, things were perfect, not in the exaggerated sense of fairy tales, but in the subtle, constant rhythms of everyday life. A morning coffee together, shared grocery runs, gentle touches in the kitchen. I wasn't rich, but I worked hard, kept my promises, and never let her feel the weight of the bills that came with our modest life. She always said she loved my stability, the way I carried responsibilities without drama. Those words, so simple, made the years worth it. But somewhere around the 15th year, I began to notice a shift. It started with small things. A sigh when I complimented her, a shrug when I tried to plan a dinner together, an ever-present tension that I couldn't quite name. At first, I blamed myself, thinking perhaps I'd stopped being interesting or spontaneous. I cooked her favorite meals, left her notes on the counter, even planned small weekend getaways to remind her of the bond we once shared. Yet each gesture seemed to bounce off her like water against stone. Then came the call that would change everything. I was at work, balancing schedules and meetings, when Claire's voice came over the phone, unusually cold. "Daniel, I need you to leave. Now, don't ask questions. Just pack what you need. I've arranged everything else." I froze. My mind spun, searching for logic in a statement that had none. What do you mean? I managed, my voice steady despite the knot tightening in my chest. She didn't answer immediately. When she did, it was a single sentence that tore through years of security. "It's a lie, Daniel. A lie you don't understand. You need to leave before this gets worse." I hung up, confusion and shock twisting in my stomach. A lie? I had no idea what she meant. I knew our marriage had grown strained, yes, but I had never crossed a line, never been dishonest, never been absent, never been anything less than present and attentive. My mind raced, replaying every conversation, every decision, every moment I had thought we were aligned. Nothing matched the accusation. By the time I returned home, the house felt different. The photos on the walls, the furniture we'd chosen together, the bookshelves filled with memories, all of it suddenly alien. Claire was already there, calm, composed, as though this was a matter of everyday routine. Her eyes met mine briefly, and there was no warmth, no hesitation, just a precise, calculated detachment. I nodded, swallowing the surge of disbelief, and began collecting my essentials, my clothes, my laptop, the few personal mementos I kept tucked away. I moved silently, not because I accepted the accusation, but because I learned long ago that confrontation and anger only escalates things. I wanted clarity, and I wanted to leave without feeding into whatever narrative she had constructed. The drive to my friend Mark's apartment felt surreal. 17 years behind me, a lifetime of shared experiences condensed into the few bags in my hands. I couldn't stop thinking about the lie. What could it be? What truth was she hiding? And why would it require me to vanish so suddenly? Mark opened the door before I could knock, taking one look at me and asking the obvious question. "What happened? Where's Claire?" I let out a long breath. "I don't know, Mark. Something she said, something about a lie. She told me to leave. Said not a word more. I just packed and left." He frowned, trying to process it, but I could see the worry in his eyes. "You sure you didn't do something? Anything? Maybe she misunderstood?" I shook my head. "No, Mark, not a single thing. That's the problem. I haven't the slightest idea why she's doing this." That night, I slept on his couch, the hum of the city outside doing little to quiet my thoughts. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the years of shared life, the quiet breakfast the shared laughter, the small touches, and then contrasted them with her words. A lie. What did it mean? Was it something serious? Had she been hiding something for years? My mind circled endlessly, and I realized that the only way forward was patience. Clarity would come one way or another. The next morning, I returned to the house to retrieve a few overlooked items. That's when I noticed a folder on the kitchen counter. Neat, precise, clearly not left by mistake. My name was written on it in Claire's hand. I opened it, and the first thing I saw was a document that made my blood run cold. It was a series of emails, conversations, and pieces of evidence that didn't implicate me at all, but instead revealed a network of deceit I could never have imagined. Someone had orchestrated this entire scenario, using me as the unwitting scapegoat. And in that moment, I knew that my calm, composed exit was going to be the trigger that exposed the truth. She had set the stage, thinking I'd react with desperation or anger, and instead, I had walked away quietly, leaving the pieces perfectly aligned for discovery. I didn't yet know how it would all unravel, but I could feel it. The lie, the hidden manipulations, would catch up fast. And when it did, it wouldn't just vindicate me. It would shatter everything she thought she had under control. The morning sun slanted through the kitchen blinds as I sifted through the folder Claire had left. Each document, each message, was a thread in a web I hadn't known existed. It wasn't just a lie about money or infidelity or something small that could be brushed off with conversation. No, it was meticulously constructed deception aimed at making me look guilty, irresponsible, even dangerous in the eyes of our friends, family, and neighbors. And the irony, the cruel brilliance of it, was that Claire believed I would react impulsively, shatter, or beg for explanations. But I hadn't. I had walked out, quietly, composed, precisely. I knew immediately what needed to be done. There was no room for a confrontation fueled by emotion. My first step was clarity. Every email, every bank statement, every share account I had with Claire had to be documented, secured, and made immutable. I spent the next few hours meticulously cataloging everything. And as I worked, the pattern became clear. This had been orchestrated not by Claire alone, but by someone outside her inner circle, a colleague at her work, someone with a grudge and an agenda. Their goal was simple: to fracture my life and reputation, to make me seem the villain in a story I hadn't written. I didn't panic. I never did. Years of solving crises at work, handling tough clients, and navigating personal challenges had honed a patience and precision I now relied on. Instead of reacting, I began constructing a quiet counter-strategy. Every action, every move I made would be measured. I called my lawyer first, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Fiona, whose reputation for meticulousness I trusted implicitly. I handed her the folder, explained the context, and told her exactly what had transpired. The forced exit, the accusations, the orchestrated evidence, and my complete lack of culpability. By mid-afternoon, Fiona had begun drafting responses, formal inquiries, and documentation requests. But I didn't stop there. I contacted a few trusted friends who had known the truth of our marriage, those who had witnessed the mundane but vital reality of my life with Claire. I shared only facts, never accusations, never emotional pleas. Their corroboration would form the backbone of the truth. Then the unexpected happened. Claire called, or at least someone using her number did. The voice was tight, controlled, and unmistakably panicked. "Daniel, can we talk?" I paused, feeling a mix of disbelief and satisfaction. My instinct told me to remain calm, to not give in any urgency she tried to manufacture. "Not yet," I replied evenly. "Everything is in motion. You'll know soon enough." I hung up, and a strange sense of calm washed over me. I realized that walking away calmly, without drama, had already unsettled her more than any argument could. Every orchestrated lie she had created was now vulnerable, because I hadn't reacted in expected ways. My composure was the wedge that would pry the truth free. The following week was tense. Claire tried subtle maneuvers, messages through friends, half-hearted explanations, attempts at distraction. But I maintained my focus. Every step she took revealed her desperation. And then the pivotal moment came. A mutual acquaintance, Someone neutral who had been unknowingly pulled into the narrative contacted Fiona directly. They had proof, emails, documents, timestamps, confirming the manipulations weren't mine. Every false accusation, every planted suspicion, crumbled in the light of unassailable evidence. Claire's reaction was immediate. The mask of composure slipped. The friend she had briefed, the colleague she had swayed, all began questioning inconsistencies. People who had accepted her story without hesitation now demanded explanations. It was quiet at first, subtle tremors of doubt, but it grew rapidly. By the end of the week, the entire construction she had meticulously planned, the truth she hoped would ruin me, collapsed under the weight of facts. I watched it unfold with detached satisfaction. Not vindictive joy, not gloating, but a firm sense of justice. My exit, measured and composed, had allowed me to retain dignity while exposing the truth. It was a lesson in restraint and strategy. Often, the most powerful reaction is no reaction at all. Eventually, Claire reached out, this time in person, her voice low, shaky. "Daniel, I didn't think." I looked at her calmly. "You don't get to dictate how I react. Everything's been documented, everything verified. The truth always catches up." She nodded, defeated. There were no tears, no apologies that could undo 17 years of betrayal and fear. But there was acknowledgement, and that was enough. In the weeks that followed, life slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't need to. The truth had done the work I would never have been able to do in anger. I continued my daily routines, quietly rebuilding boundaries and reclaiming my space. And with each day, the weight lifted. The house, once tainted by fear and deception, felt lighter. I had survived, not by confrontation, not by drama, but by patience, precision, and the quiet strength of composure. Looking back, I understand now why people often fear lies more than truth. Lies demand reactions. They seek to control emotions, to create chaos. But truth, when paired with restraint, has its own unstoppable power. And walking away calmly, 17 years of life in my hands, leaving without a fight, had ensured that the truth not only caught up, but exposed every hidden corner of deceit. I had been ordered out, but in that calm exit, I had written the final chapter. The lie that had forced me to leave could never harm me again. Instead, it had revealed everything. Her choices, her manipulation, and the undeniable reality that some exits, measured and composed, are the most devastating and powerful acts of all.